Welcome into another exciting episode of Real Biz. I'm your host, Bubba Startz, and today I'm joined by business culture and workplace expert and the owner of Reiki Interiors, Melissa Dotson. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited for this one. I have to give a huge shout out to a mutual friend of ours, John Morris, right off the top. Without him, I don't know that I would know you. I know that he's helping you with your budding podcasting career. So we're going to talk about the podcast in a little bit. And we're going to get into some deep dives on interior design and furniture and all kinds of exciting stuff that everyone loves talking about, obviously. But before we do that, Melissa, I want to just give you an opportunity to give us a little bit of your backstory.
So I, office furniture wasn't my passion in the beginning. I actually started as the accountant here 28 years ago. I'm a CPA by trade, but I have a thirst for knowledge. So I just learned everything I could about the business, sales, manufacturing, design, all of that. And then bought out my partner in 2019. And now I'm very excited to own it and take it to the next level. And I tell people, well, you can buy office furniture from, anybody. Really, that's not what I sell. What I sell is your environment and a great foundation for you to build your business and have wonderful employees, have a great place to thrive.
I think that's something that's often missed when people are building a business and you're just trying to go to, a big box store or something and buy furniture to fill in, but you miss out on an opportunity to really bring people into your world and to let your own personality and the personality of your business to speak as soon as people walk in the door. So I think while it's often overlooked, I think that it's extremely impactful, the work that you're doing.
Yeah, it's very passionate of me because I love business. I love winning. I'm competitive. So if I can help another business owner win, and if you have a great space that matches your culture, matches your brand, it can really bond your employees to your business and have a really good foundation for you to just grow, inspire each other, brainstorm, and have a good place for everybody to bond and really want to win with your business.
Right. And I was thinking from the consumer side, like a customer walks into an office building but for the environment and the culture of a company, especially to walk in and feel like you work in the coolest place on earth is extremely important, especially with a competitive, workplace market that there is now. And I think people moving jobs a lot more than they did in decades past.
Yes, there's a lot more competition for really good talent. And if you can get a really good culture, that's what really matters and really helping your employees get personally fulfilled. And I just believe that starts with your space and then you build from there as you have a good foundation to build from.
Well, and what's interesting about your specific company is that you are not just design and you're not just manufacturing and you're definitely not pulling things out of a box and just assembling them. You are everything from floor to ceiling, I do believe is how you put it. Can you kind of walk us through, and I know you didn't found this company, but what is the lifeblood of the company and why was it so important to kind of take it from an empty room to fully designed and built out?
Yeah. Well, I really just believe in energy. So a space actually has an energy and the people that go into the space have an energy. And our job is to pull out of the business owner that we're working with, what do they want that energy to be? Some people want it to be a homey feel. Some people want it to be a techie feel. Some people want a sterile feel. There's all different ways that you want your employees or your customers to feel. And it's our job to pull that out of the business owner that we're working with and then to bring that to life in all aspects, lighting, window treatments, accessories, artwork, the furniture, the flow of the business. You'll go to places sometimes. I notice it a lot, like in a doctor's office area or in a medical facility where the nurses are complaining like, oh, this is not in the right place and this doesn't flow and this is, messing with my, productivity. And so I'm always like, oh man, I wish I could have helped them, because we try to really help with that. It's really about the design, the look, but also the function. You want it to be able to flow and you want your employees to be more productive. And if your space is properly set up, they can be more productive. It can flow better. It can foster better conversations, better brainstorming, a good place to be.
It's where feng shui and ergonomics come together, right?
Yes, for sure.
Now you came from the accounting room, which I don't think in itself is a rare trajectory inside of a company to then be at the very top of it. What are you most passionate about now? Is it the design side? Is it the relationships that you're forming with these, owners and founders inside of their spaces to really guide them? Because coming from my own personal experience, I'm not an interior designer, nor do I really know. So does it start with the founder and kind of getting a feel for who they are? And are you getting a little bit of pushback maybe, from the room to take their vision, right? Looking at the space and listening to them and going, yeah, this isn't going to work. So you're kind of having to guide them through the process to say, I like what you have there, but let's try to envision this a little bit differently.
Yes. Well, and I really, yes, we do that for sure. We want to get, we actually have a survey that goes out to all employees so that we can get, their, mindset. And, I'm a firm believer is that all leaders really should listen to the people on the floor because they're the ones actually, in the trenches. The leaders are more visionaries. They're up in, the sky, and the people that are down actually doing the work in the, in the weeds and in the trees, as they say. It's really important to listen to what they have to say, because if you're not, I don't really think you're being a great leader. And then, two, it makes the space not function. And I would think that most business leaders would want their space to function well. They would want their employees to be happy, personally fulfilled, so that way they're more productive. They're performing better customer service. They're also going to help. If that's all helping and they stay longer, your bottom line is going to grow. So then everybody's really in it for the same, reasons, for the growth, to get more market share, to have great customers, to get more sales. And then hopefully the business is making more money. Hopefully then employees could have bonuses. My really big passion right now, and I'm doing actually a lot of speaking now. I'm two things have happened in my life here at Reiki. Well, many things have happened. I've been here 28 years, but more recently, I have an amazing executive team. So I have to just say, if people could at least just hire the right people, hire people smarter than you, hire people that are better at different things than you are, really know what you're good at and delegate everything else, your business will be better off for sure. I tried to do everything before. I actually was the CFO, the president, the sales manager, and the design manager all at once. Not a good way. We weren't really making money. We weren't doing a good job because I was the bottleneck and everything had to run through me. Now that I actually have the best executive team ever and a very amazing staff too, things run the day-to-day mostly without me. So now I'm being able to work on my passion project of speaking to business owners about personal fulfillment. That's the other reason why you had mentioned before that I'd started a podcast as well, because I'm really passionate about people just living a life, not a personal life and a work life, just a life. And I believe that work should personally fulfill you, and you shouldn't be waiting for retirement or waiting for the weekend to feel good about yourself or feel good about your week. And I think that as business owners, we could help our employees with that, with the space. And then once the space is done, then what are you doing? How are you helping them grow? How are you pushing them? What are you doing to work with them and help them be personally fulfilled? Because if you are personally fulfilled, you just show up better. You show up happier. You show up happier at home. You show up happier at work. And then when you show up happier, you're more productive. And then the whole thing works out better and you have a better team.
Yeah, it's so a big full circle between the work and the home life being heard. And something you touched on there with your survey is when someone's able to at work in any kind of small way feel like they're being listened to. That's so massive. It's a major reason why I left the workforce, working in the factory that I was, that I just everything that you said just fell on deaf ears. You never felt heard. You never felt understood by anyone above you. And I just got tired of not feeling like it was going anywhere. I didn't see any vision for that. And it created, I don't want to say a toxic work environment, but for myself, it was. I wasn't happy going to work and coming home, and it was taking more and more time away from my family. A few occasions of being like, okay, yeah, it's Thursday. We're working mandatory Saturday because we're behind on that and that. And I was like, my kid's got a ball game. Like, I don't care what punishment you're going to dish out to me, a point system or a doc. Like, I'm not money motivated enough that I'm ditching my son's little league playoff game to be here for you because you didn't do something right and you're behind on stuff. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just not that way. But had they listened at some point, and maybe there had been some goodwill on their end besides, well, you get a paycheck for giving us your time during the day, that maybe I would have been more inclined to stay, right? And I think that's pretty ubiquitous through any industry that you work in. And I think the work that you're doing with Beyond the Role and with your speaking engagements are really fixing those toxic work environments around the country, one founder at a time or many, while you're able to get out there. And as the podcast continues to grow in popularity, which I hope it does for you, I just think it's so important in that space. And another thing I wanted to touch on there was it's not just about, where your butt's sitting while you're working or the tables that you're working at, but also the art that may be on the wall, like that beautiful picture that's behind you. A little bit of something to put a smile on your face is never a bad thing in any kind of environment. And I think it gets overlooked time and time again that, walking into what eventually feels like a prison cell it is going to have a negative effect on your employees. There's just no way, which is going to negatively affect the culture and infect your workplace with negativity. And it's crazy that it gets overlooked as much as it does when the fixes, I think, are really quite simple, are they not?
Yes, they are. And really, again, like listening to your employees. What do they need? What spaces do they need? As well as, the owner, obviously the owner needs to have, their, flair on it for sure. But it really is about the employees, because the employees are the ones that are there every day, working 8 to 10 hours in that space. So I would think that most people would want the space to be good for their employees so that they could actually get the benefit from that.
Are there ever any moments where you have to temper the flare down from? As soon as you said flare, my mind immediately went to the old movie Waiting, where they had 1,000 buttons on their shirt and
yes. Oh yeah, for sure. We did have one. I was like, okay, this looks like a Vegas showroom. Wow. Okay, that might be a little much.
We got to tone things down just a little bit. Like, we're not trying to rain on anyone's parade here, but it's also raining sequins from the ceiling.
Exactly. So yeah, there does need to be a little bit of like some peace involved in that.
How cool. I love that you guys kind of do it all. The manufacturing thing to me is such a thing, because so much, especially in the furniture world, is made overseas. You don't have very many American made products on that side at all. That really intrigued me. And that was something that I didn't know about your company coming in. Now, has that been from the beginning of the company that it's been that way?
Almost. Well, when we very, very first started out, we were just selling used furniture. Then we started refurbishing that furniture. Then we started manufacturing our own furniture. Now we do full custom capabilities of manufacturing. I'm very proud of my staff and their continual like improvement of their skills and all the things that they're learning from the time we started doing, manufacturing, 25 years ago compared to now. It's like unbelievable. I'm like, I'll go back there and I'll look at some of the stuff that they're working on, and I'm like, oh my God, we did that. I'm like, that looks amazing. And because we allow them to use their creativity as well. So, anybody here, if they have an idea to come up with a new product, we'll try it. We'll do a prototype on it. We're a custom shop. All of our stuff is manufactured to each individual job, which is very exciting for us. And we run our company about continual improvement process. So we're always like, okay, what's the next thing we can do? If we already have a great customer, what else can I help them with? We're all about helping people. And so for us, it was like, okay, we did the furniture. Well, now we can do the flooring. Well, now we can do the interior design. Well, now we can do the wallpaper, and we can do the window treatments and the artwork and all of that, as well as the plants or anything else they need, because then it's one-stop shop, one person to call, one person, to, instead of coordinating with 3 or 4 different companies to try to get all of this worked out, we handle the whole thing from beginning to end. And most people, when they're, redoing their space or renovating, they've never done it before, or maybe they've done it once before. And usually the person that gets stuck with the job already has a full-time job. And then they're here, you're going to, be in charge of our move too. And you're like, wow, okay, thank you. I have no idea what I'm doing, but sure, I'll add that on to my full-time job I already have. So our job is to make it as peaceful and as smooth as possible for whoever it is that's in charge of, making it happen on their side, because it is a lot of work and it's a lot, so we want to be able to be the professionals in that and help them along the way, and really let them know, like, okay, wait a minute, you need to make these decisions first because this is going to make a difference, on this other thing. A lot of times people forget, oh, electrical. They're like, oh, I want to have this cool thing over here. And I'm like, how you getting electric over there? Oh, I don't know. And you're like, okay, that's why I'm always trying to tell people, if you just call us first before you get the contractor, even sometimes before you get the architect, because the architect really works on the outside of the building and a little bit on the inside, but we are really experts on the inside, and we deal with the end in mind first. What is the flow? How do you want to have this? What do you want to work on? And then we work backwards, like, okay, then you need the color theme, you need the lights here, you need the electrical here, and it saves money, because if you're like all of a sudden want something and you're like, oh, well, there's no electrical there. Now you have to have a whole change order, run new electric, figure all that out. Or you just make compromises and go, okay, well, then I'm not going to do it because it's going to cost too much money.
Yeah, or it's just going to be hard to work around, which costs you productivity in the long run as well. And, trying to retrofit everything isn't necessarily and being reactive instead of being proactive. Like you said, call Rieke first. We'll come in, we'll help you and hold your hand as much as needed and to take you through that. In this day and age of a fully customizable world, right? Everything about our world essentially is good to have a interior design that can bring all of that to fruition. And like you said, one-stop shopping. Hey, we can do that. You want a kidney bean sized and shaped table, we can make that. You're not having to go out and fit your world around what already exists. You're able to create that world. And I think that's a really fun process for everyone to get to go through as well. And it becomes something else to get excited about instead of, like you said, usually it's someone getting stuck doing it and it becomes a drag on their life and an extra stressor. This can actually become a fun project, which I don't think, interior design and fun get put together enough.
Right. Yeah. And it's very fun for us too, when we get to see at the end, like we had a problem that somebody is trying to solve. And then we come in at the end and, see the results and get to hear from our customers how it did help with productivity and how it did help with flow or brainstorming or inspiration. That fills me up because I'm like, oh, yay. I'm like, and I tell all my employees that they're all part of this. Even the person that's in the back putting a screw in a storage cabinet, if that screw goes in wrong, then they're messing up, the job, or it can, affect somebody in their, workspace. And we're not just like, oh, okay, I gave somebody a place to sit. No, I'm giving a person a place to actually like have their dreams come true, be inspired, do different things and use their brain in a different way. So we're helping companies not just supply furniture and the person in the back that's just, wrapping up the product to put inside the truck. No, you're a part of a bigger thing. You're not just doing your tiny little job. So we have all company meetings once a quarter, and we go over like, here's all the great jobs that we did. Here's great things that our customers said about us. We applaud everybody for the great job that they're doing, because everybody's touching the customer, whether they are touching the customer or not, in some way. And we're all part of this as a big team. And it takes the whole, departments, all the departments. I do an analogy about we're all pieces of a car. So you can't just have the car with tires. You can't just have the car with a seat. You can't just have the car with, a steering wheel. We have to have all the pieces, including the gasoline, to make it run. And we all provide a different role in that, but it all comes together to deliver for our customers.
Yeah. And then some people like you during the course of their career get to be all the parts at one time or another.
which I don't recommend.
I know the feeling all too well right now, as you were talking about all the hats you were wearing at one time and how inefficient it was. That I feel that especially as our, media company has grown, that we're in that, but because we're not, to the point where we can afford to pay other people to do things for us, you kind of have to, right? A lot of, a necessity right now, but you're also one decision away from everything changing rapidly. So we've been building a team around us, much in the same way that you've built out your team. It doesn't happen overnight, and finding the right people can be challenging at times.
For sure.
I love you didn't necessarily say this, but you don't sell tables and chairs. You sell dreams and creativity, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's all about like winning in business, and it takes a lot of different things to win in business. And I am a very competitive person, and I'm just like, I like to win. I like to help others win, and whatever we can do to play a small part in that of helping people win is very fun.
I would love to dig in a little bit more on your podcasting journey. I know it's still relatively new to you, but how much fun have you been having doing the podcast?
That has been a lot of fun, because I'm getting to interview some amazing leaders that are out there, and I'm getting to help other leaders learn from the leaders that I'm interviewing. And it's really that, like I said before, the passion project for me, and that's why I named it Beyond the Role, because I want to know what other people are doing to lead from beyond just the job title. I believe that leaders are there for more than just, okay, push that button, put that screw in there, do this. I really am more inspired by leaders who help their employees grow and challenge them, and, want them to do better for themselves and better for the company. So I'm interviewing a whole bunch of great leaders and learning how they are leading and how they're developing their cultures and what they're doing to create the best work environment for people.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's always been like that, but I think a lot of mid-level people who have worked themselves up maybe into a mid-management level or even higher, that maybe they don't accept the role of mentor that isn't necessarily laid out in the job description, but is inherent in their position. It is a function of your job to mentor these next people to hopefully one day fill your shoes, whether that's you moving up or moving on.
For sure. Yeah, there's definitely a difference between a manager and a leader. And I do think sometimes as we promote people, that we kind of miss a step a little bit in that. We just, oh, they did great at their job. Now they'll just be a manager and it'll be great, and they'll just lead. It'll be fine. But sometimes I think we miss the training of the managers and the training of the leaders and really letting them know how much influence they have. Their word actually means something. People are looking up to them. So the things that they say and the way that they treat people really matters. And I mean, there's been many, many, many studies that people will leave a job over a manager/leader more than they'll leave for money. So it's very important to be a good leader.
I've left several in the last several years for the same reason. It's probably a big reason why I was like, you know what? If nobody's going to make me a boss, then I'll do my own thing and I can lead in that. And now I find myself, not necessarily at the head of all the communities that I'm a part of, because it's many, but the head of a few, and having the people around me come to me for mentorship and for guidance is almost the most rewarding part of my job. Is probably a strong term. Well, I'm not really making a lot of money doing it, but that they are coming to me and they do look up to me. And often I forget that it's not just in a small circle, it's on a much wider level as well. And that influence now as a public figure, and that your words and your actions mean so much more on a lot of different levels. And that's something that even recently has been brought to my attention, that I had a little bit of a blind spot there, because much of my life I was able to fly under the radar and nobody was really looking to me for that. But now, especially as a new media personality, which I've, assigned unto myself, it means more. And I need to be more conscious of that, and respecting my role as a leader inside of that space as well. And honestly, until someone brought it to my attention, I was completely blind to how some of those things were affecting other people, even though I didn't mean it in that way, right? That my words and my actions in a moment, not that the action itself was, but the way that I was broadcasting it, ruffled some feathers or hurt some feelings, completely unintentional by me. But because I wasn't really aware and I wasn't used to that and being in that position, that it just kind of went completely unbeknownst to me.
It's funny that you said that about, how you were landing on other people and, how you were showing up. And a lot of times it is in our blind spot. And it's good that leaders can ask for other people, like, how did that land? Or how am I, showing up? Because I think everybody's a leader. Like everybody in my company, I treat everybody in my company as a leader, because they're, leading a customer, they're leading a project, whatever they're working on. I think everybody should show up as a leader. And once a week, I usually send out some kind of inspirational or some kind of thought-provoking email. And I just sent the one out this week was, how do you want to show up? How do you want to intentionally show up? And really being more conscious and paying attention. So I asked a bunch of different questions to the employees this week, just to get them to think differently and just be a little bit more conscientious of how are they showing up and how are they landing? Because sometimes, like you said, you didn't do it on purpose. You just said something or you showed up in a way and you're like, oh, whoa, that's not really how I wanted that to land. And I apologize for that. And this is really what I meant. And, I think good leaders being authentic and apologizing when you make a mistake. It's okay. We're all human and we're going to make mistakes. If you're not making mistakes, you're not trying hard enough. You're not pushing yourself out of your, circle of, comfortability.
Well, I must be trying plenty then.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. And for me, like I said, no broadcasting background for me, no real sales background, unless you count the few months that I was selling magazines door to door and me selling myself as a band, which is very service oriented, that people were asking for. Now I'm doing something that really nobody was asking for, but everybody needs. Right. In the publicity side, and especially where I'm at, and you're in a major urban area, right? You are out there in a world that has plenty of media opportunities and things. So it may be a little bit different, but I'm in an area where there's not a lot of that. And understanding that there's a major hole that I could be filling for my community, for our region, and for a lot of people inside of that. And, while I started in the artist world where almost nobody is talking to it, you have millions of artists and, like 3 publications that, we see, a Rolling Stone or something like that, right? No MTV anymore to go to, that there's this massive hole to fill with all these people. But just as much is the side of these small businesses that don't get talked to, and these owners and founders that could be growing their business and building trust with customers using podcasts to do that. And I think that's what's really cool about, you digging in, and it is so fun, isn't it? It's so awesome getting to have these off the cuff kind of conversations and the insights that I'm growing. I've really been getting a masterclass in how to run a business just by building this new platform and having people on and sharing their experiences and all the insights that I'm able to gain. And at the end of the day, everyone's like, oh my God, I had so much fun. Thanks for having me. And I'm like, I probably gained more from this than you did, but you're welcome.
But I love it because then it's like working both ways. You're helping each other, which is great.
No, and that's the best part. I feel like, and I asked the question to another interview today, did you find podcasting, or did podcasting find you? And for me, it was the latter. I was a fan. I was consuming podcasts all the time, and never once in that, 5 years of being a very devoted listener was I ever like, man, I really want to start my own thing, right? Like it just didn't make sense to me until I was promoting my music and I'm getting out there, and the tour, the media tour was over. I was like, I did 2 podcasts. I was on the local news. I was on the local radio, and it was over. And I was like, okay, like now I need to do this, right? I could be serving my community by just having conversations. Please sign me up for that. And then very fortunate to just be alive at the right time as a human being, that there's this crack right now for independent media personalities like ourselves, although I don't know that you kind of see yourself as that yet, but you will, that we have an opportunity to really build something and to build community around ourselves in that. And I'm very grateful for it. And I know that you are as well.
And it's a great way to reach people you would have never reached before. You get a bigger reach. And that was the thing that you had mentioned, John Morris, which is, now one of my great friends. He was like, you have to do a podcast, because I've just been speaking, to different business owners. And he's like, you'll get a bigger reach and you'll be able to, interview people, and then they will share and you'll share, and it'll just become, way bigger out there. And then you'll have a bigger impact, which is really cool, because the bigger impact we can have towards positivity in this world, I mean, it doesn't really get any better than that, I don't think.
I've interviewed rock and roll Hall of Famers, people that should be in there, Super Bowl champions, just like, what life is this, right? Like, and for me, I just fresh into the game and doing it, the access for us has been absolutely incredible. I'm so grateful for the opportunities that have become the, from, podcasting, from a silly decision to say, oh, I'm going to quit my job and really do this. That's not true. I quit my job because I thought I was going to be a rock star, Melissa. I had a bunch of gigs booked. I was on my way, and then I got out on the road and I was like, oh, I don't want this. At 38 or 37, however old I was at that time, where I was like, oh yeah, I don't want these late nights, 5-6 nights in a row, bad enough to stay out here. Why don't we dig into this podcasting thing? And now to look back at the last year really of my life, and to be like, okay, you've built something, and now what's that next step? So that leads me to my next question, Melissa. What is the next step for you and for Reiki Interiors and for Beyond the Roll? And what's next for Melissa Dotson?
Yeah, so just really trying to get out there more and more with the podcast, with the speaking, helping business owners as well as other leaders just elevate themselves. I did forget that I did write a book too last year called Elevate Your Greatness. So I'm really hoping that that can help people as well. It's just a book of different lessons that I've learned over the years. It also has little tidbits of how I learned those lessons, as well as it's a workbook for you to learn and learn those same lessons to live a more conscious life, to live a life that's made for you. So I love that you said that, like, you were going to be this rock star and then you really realized that wasn't the life for you. You know, that's a big decision because you really wanted to do that. And, oh, and I already, have all these gigs booked, but then you really realize that wasn't for you, it wasn't for your family, it wasn't how you really wanted to spend your time. And even though it looks glamorous to everybody else, they're like, oh, you're a rock star and you're performing every night, but then they don't realize that you're go back into a lonely hotel room or a bus and you're missing your family and all of those kinds of things. So I applaud you for doing what actually mattered to you and not going back to, a 9-to-5 job and trying something different for you, because that is what I just want to preach to everybody. What matters to you, not to advertisements, not to your parents, not to the outside world. What matters to you? Because if you can show up truly authentic to yourself, you are going to be a better leader for everybody in your life. You're going to be a better family member. You're going to be a better leader at work, in your community. And I know that sometimes people are like, well, that sounds selfish. And it's like, it's really not. Put your oxygen mask on first before you help other people. It's the same thing. Do what fills you up. Do what, is your passion. And then that just gives you that much more energy to give to other people. And then you don't give from depletion, you can give from abundance. And that's what it's all about, giving and loving other people and helping people. So
I think that's a great place to end this conversation, Melissa. I want to thank you so much for taking some time for me today. It's been an absolute joy, even more fun than I thought it would be, which is hard to say because I knew it was going to be a great time. Anything else that you want to plug before we let you go?
No, great job. And thank you so much. And I'm so glad that John introduced us. And I'm sure that we'll be together in the future.
Can't wait. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. Congratulations on the book and the new podcast. And good luck to you and everything that you do. Thanks for being here. And thank you for being part of the scene.
Thank you so much. I had fun and I really appreciate it.